it's Jazz and this is Wildlife Matters. Last week we celebrated World Animal Day. But if you ask me, I think that every day should be World Animal Day. Why? Because I believe that animals are important. And I know that I say this often, but if you've ever come to a point where you're just wondering, why are animals important anyway? Well, this episode is for you. But before we begin, I'd like to ask you to please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, and follow our social media pages. Okay, so today I'm gonna give you just 5 of many reasons why animals are important. Number 1, the balance of life. Like we discussed in our Balance of Life episode, animals belong to the many different ecosystems that make up our planet. There are different roles each animal plays, and all those roles are connected to one another, meaning that there's always another impact or benefit another species gets from that animal, and that includes us humans. If you want to know more about ecosystems, you can also check out our Balance of Life episode that I'll be linking in the description box below. But for now, here's number 2, protection. You might not be aware, but animals have been protecting us in many sorts of ways all our lives. Again, they keep everything balanced, so they eat animals that might overpopulate, and in turn, when they do overpopulate, could be very harmful for us humans. Like for example, locusts, or jellyfish, or even rats, which carry lots of diseases. Overpopulation is a huge problem. I mean, too much of anything is a problem, right? There are also animals like dogs or rats who have been trained to protect humans by sniffing explosives or bombs. And during earthquakes or when a building collapses, they can also sniff bodies that are buried underground. So they help in recovering those victims. And they literally save lives. Or what about guide dogs for people with disabilities like blindness? These dogs become the eyes that protect these blind people from getting into accidents when they're crossing the street. Or what about animals like beavers who build dams that actually protect us from flooding? And they also help us prevent climate change by conserving fresh water. Filter feeders like whales and manta rays keep our oceans clean by removing all the toxins and harmful bacteria that are in our waters. I can give you many more examples, but for now, let's move to point number 3, which is that we rely on them for food. I'm not just talking about food as in meat or fish, because it's a well-known fact that we've been consuming animals for food ever since the primitive era. But did you know that they also help farmers plant vegetables and crops? Their manure or poop is a natural fertilizer and the best type that we can use for soil, much better than artificial ones. And when they die and their bodies decompose, this also becomes fertilizer and our soil becomes healthier for more trees and more crops to grow. Did you know that bees pollinate 1/3 of everything you eat? Think about that next time you take a bite of an apple. Actually, many different animals like birds, bats, and tortoises disperse seed along the ground, which helps in growing more plants and trees that we need in order to survive. We can't eat without them. Number 4, animals are therapeutic. Studies show that animals, especially companion animals, have improved people's health by lowering blood pressure and stress levels, and have even helped people get through depression. And number 5, basically everything. Think about it. How do we get our energy, our coal, oil, and natural gases? These all come from fossil fuels, which are made from decomposing plants and animals that have been buried underground ever since the Paleozoic era. Imagine where we would be without oil and energy. We wouldn't have progressed to the modern world we're in now if it weren't for these resources. But a lot of the times, the things that we get from animals like fossil fuels can be harmful for the environment. But I mentioned this because I wanted to remind you to look around and see how animals have made significant contributions in our lives in ways we don't even see or notice. So basically, everything that you love, everything that you've bought, everything that you can touch, see, or feel, everything that you fix your eyes on is there because animals and plants exist. Even the very air that we breathe is there because we have animals who have dispersed seeds on the ground for plants to grow to produce the oxygen that we very much need to survive. And despite all the many ways they have given us the resources that we need, we continuously take advantage of them. We put things out of balance, especially when we're overhunting them or selling them off for their skin and other body parts just for foolish things like fake remedies. or delicacies we can live without. When we chop down their habitats or force them out of their homes just so we can make it our own and then kill them for wanting to come back to it. And when we inhumanely cause them pain through cruel acts and out of boredom or just selfishness. All animals are important. Whether they roam the oceans or dwell on land, whether they travel in the skies or burrow in the ground, whether they're bigger than a bus or smaller than our eyes can see, from one end of the earth to another, every creature has its place, and we all need to share this planet in order to survive. Protecting them is protecting us, because remember, every piece of wildlife matters.